Very good afternoon to all of you. I, Dr. Sanjib Pattnaik, I welcome all of you to our session that will be focusing on the various systems and standards that a organization which is in pursuit of total quality management or TQM are adhering to. Now, in this particular paper, that is total quality management of our course, which has been coded as MMPC-019. In the initial blocks, we saw what is TQM or total quality management. We saw the need for total quality management. Afterwards, we looked at the various approaches of total quality management. We also discussed about the various tools and techniques of the total quality management which are applicable to organizations. Then in this particular last block, that is block 5, we are looking at various systems and standards. Now, when we are talking about standards, due to the open border, or in other words, globalized world as of present today, due to the policies of liberalization, privatization, and globalization of many nations, what has happened? The flow of products and services from one nation to another takes place either forward or backward. That means either exported or imported. Now, in order that a particular country, suppose our country's product or services are accepted by other countries, which may be developed countries also, we have to attain certain standards. Standards in the processes, standards in the products and services, standards in the environmental practices, standards which will be satisfying the customer needs. So, all these standards are universally or globally accepted by the ISO standards. ISO stands for International Organization for Standards. Now, here the ISO was the outcome of a, we can say, confluence of most of the countries and they came together to form the required standards which are applicable to all the corporates, enterprises, organizations, and which will be accepted not only inside the nation where it is being manufactured or produced or generated, but also in other countries. That means there was a move towards generalization of standards cutting across boundaries. So if we as an organization are producing something and want to export it to suppose a country like United States. So we have to adhere to certain ISO standards. Now those standards are widely accepted by all the nations in the world. The ISO headquarters are located at Geneva. Now, in this block 5, we have seen the standards such as 9000 series, which focused on people, product, the process, that means how the quality is managed or maintained. We also saw ISO 14000 series, which took care about the environmental protection. That means what is the kind of impact an organization has on environment comprising of land, water, air, and life forms, other life forms apart from humans. So all these things are taken care of as customers are now becoming more and more concerned about the environmental protection. Then we also saw about the safety of the workers working in the organization. When we are talking about safety, we talked about how an organization can protect its worker from various hazards as well as risks. So here the catchword is lower the losses, the better is the efficiency or better is the quality. In today's session, that is unit 14 of our course under block 5, we shall look at some other standards which are applicable to the new organization that have developed over the last 50-60 years. Now, these organizations have completely changed, revolutionized the way business have been carried out, way things are functioning across the world, and they are providing the best of the solution, or also they are managing through artificial intelligence. Now, from this we can know that we are talking about the software companies which have emerged in the last 50-60 years, and now all things, all businesses, all organizations are powered by the softwares. They help the organization to run in a better way without any kind of biasness or any kind of, you can say, fraudulent practices. So, what are the standards applicable in case of software industries? We shall be focusing on today. Now, when the information technology industry that comprises of the software industry came into the fore, companies or IT companies or IT industries, they were developing softwares. These softwares were delivered according to the needs of the clients. Now the clients can be financial institutions, clients can be the hospitals, that means service sector, clients can be the government services, clients can be the financial prediction, that means the mutual fund companies, clients like airline industry, etc. Now here also there was the need for maintaining quality standards, for which ISO, or the International Organization for Standardization, has come up with two series which prescribe the quality standards to be adopted in IT industry. They are ISO 20000 and ISO 27000. These two series provide or ensures that whatever the services are provided by the IT industries or the IT organizations, quality or high level of quality is maintained and in a securitized manner. Why we are saying security? Now we know that, suppose think about a bank. Nowadays, all the information of the bank's clients, bank's transactions are maintained by softwares which have been developed by certain IT organization. Now, many of us might have heard the case of cyber attack, the case of the security breach, the case of data theft. That means many organizations are there which are working towards breaking down the security levels of this banks' financial records so that they can get benefit out of that. For that, the IT industry has to be a step ahead in providing the security. Now, both the standards are based on, already we have seen in total quality management, a particular approach that is called as PDCA cycle. That is plan how the software is going to be constructed or built or created according to the specific requirements of the client. Now, once the planning part is over, we move on to developing the software. That means the IT industry has its own software professionals who will try to develop the software which will meet the client's requirement. Then they do the checking, they do the testing, that is whether the software is working as per the requirement of the client or any modifications are required or anything has been left off. If any drawbacks are there, then act on that, rectify it and develop the software which will be as per the requirement of the clients, which can run as per the requirements of the client. So these ISO standards are based on the PDCA cycle. As we have seen, the PDCA cycle, plan, do, check and act, is a continuous improvement methodology. That means today we develop the software and the client starts using it, we don't stop there. We try to continuously improve that software according to the changes in technology. Uh, Many of us might have seen, uh, almost all are using nowadays smartphones. Now the smartphones are run by certain softwares. Sometimes you will find the softwares will be upgraded. That means the technological advancements that has been inputted into the software will be fed into your mobile phones. That means it will be upgraded. So it is a continuous improvement methodology, that is PDCA, to plan how the software will be built, implement that. That means the plan will be put into action through its own employees. The software will be developed and it will be applied to the organization, and careful monitoring would be done. So the monitoring part will help us to know what are the things missing out in the software that has been developed, and we try to rectify that. And this process continuously goes through the improvement act. Why? Because technology is changing, requirements of the clients are changing. So continuously we have to improve the processes and services over time. Now, these standards are designed to be flexible and scalable so that organizations can tailor their implementation to meet their specific needs and objectives. Now, if we look carefully at the standards, think about two different banks. Suppose SBI and another bank. If we look at their working, we will be finding that the style of working are not the same in both the banks or among banks. Each bank will be having its own requirement, own way of doing the things. So the software has to be designed in such a way that it can be flexible enough to meet the requirement of the particular client. So to meet their specific needs and objectives. Now, what are the various quality standards in IT industry that we find? Already we have seen in the 9000 series, ISO 9001, that is International Organization for Standardization. The implementation part is outlined in ISO 9001 series. So quality management system in any industry, the requirements are outlined in this particular series, ISO 9001. Now under that we have ITIL, Information Technology Information Library. Now it is the framework for best practices as regards to delivery and support. Look at any organization today. we'll be finding they are run by softwares mostly. Now, this requires the advanced technology which has to be delivered by the IT organization. Now, the information technology has to be updated, and whatever are the data that has to be stored, that means the information library has to be formed. So ITIL will provide the framework for best practices as regards to the delivery of the services and the support services. Many times the client organization's employee may find it puzzled or difficult to run the software. So the support has to be provided by the IT industry. Or in case of any troubleshooting, the support has to be provided by the IT industry. Another is COBIT, Control Objectives for Information and Related Technology. So this provides the framework for best practices for IT governance and management. Now, when we are applying the IT practices in any organization, it has to be governed in a proper way. It has to be managed. When we say managed, we have to implement the thing, we have to train the employees, we have to make them convinced regarding the application of softwares in their organization and how helpful it can be. So the framework for best practices in this regards is provided by the control objectives for information and related technology, that is COBIT. Then last we have is CMMI, Capability Maturity Model Integration. Now, this provides the framework for best practices in process improvement. Now, we cannot say the improvement of a process will stop at any particular point of time. It has to be a continuous process. So for that, we use CMMI, and the ISO 9001 provides the framework through CMMI for process improvement. Now, let us look at ISO 20000. Now, 20000 is only a representation. When we look at ISO 20000, it is an international standard for ITSM, Information Technology Service Management. All of us can think about any information company. Indian software industry is one of the best across the world. So we have big cities in India which are also called as IT cities. Now they are providing service to companies cutting across boundaries. That means in almost all the countries across the world, they are providing the IT services. Now how this can be possible? Because we have a specified ISO, International Organization for Standardization, which provides the basics of international standard for this IT service management. This ISO 20000 defines a set of requirements and best practices for effective delivery of IT services to satisfy the needs of customer and stakeholders. Now, ISO 20000 provides the set of requirements. It is for the organization to adhere to this recommended set of requirements in IT service sector so that they can compete in the international market. Now, think ourselves as the customer. We are visiting, most of us are visiting the ATMs, automated teller machines, or better known as ATMs. We go there and we get a host of services through the ATM. And whatever services would have been physically possible if I would have gone to a bank branch or the branch of my bank, I am getting also through the ATMs. And why ATMs? Now we are also getting many services through mobile banking. That means in our smartphones, we have the banking services of our bank at our fingertips. So as customers or stakeholders, we require banking services as per our convenience. That means if I am at certain place, I want some banking service, immediately I can tap the smartphone. So, how to develop the softwares which will cater to this needs of customer and stakeholders? The best practices for delivery of the services are defined in ISO 20000. This was first published in 2005 and most recent version is ISO 20001 2018. Organizations which have received this certification find customers being drawn towards their IT services. Why? Now the customers know that yes, the IT industry is adopting the best quality practices in providing IT services. Now, in order to get this recognition of ISO 20000, the organization requires a certificate. So the certification is a recognition for implementation and following best practices. We said na ISO 20000 will be defining a set of requirements and best practices for effective delivery of IT services. Now, this set of requirements and best practices are applied to the particular IT industry, which requires the certification. And when it is implemented, and running successfully, and the organization is following the best practices, then it is awarded with the certificate in recognition that yes, the organization is meeting the set of requirements and best practices for effective delivery of IT services. Now, this certification is awarded by an accredited third party organization after comprehensive audit. One cannot say that, yes, we know what are the requirements and best practices for effective delivery of IT services. We are implementing that. It is we who are certifying ourselves. That way, clients will not believe us. They will think that no, the organization may be saying the wrong thing. So for that, a accredited third party organization, that means a party outside the organization appointed or accredited by ISO, they will conduct a comprehensive audit. That means they will check whether the IT industry is adopting the set of requirements and practicing the best for effective delivery of IT services. So they will try to match the thing, what is happening really in the industry and what are the requirements as per ISO 20000. Now, if there are any gaps, that will be recommended to be rectified by the organization, or if the organization is matching the set of requirements and best practices, then a certificate is awarded by this third party organization, which is a proof enough that yes, the IT industry is adopting the best practices, and it will increase the competitiveness of the organization in the marketplace. Now, what are the principles and benefits of ISO 20000? Now, ISO 20000 is based on certain principles. Now, let us see what are the principles. First is customer focus. We know that total quality management is a methodology where in today's business world, the organization strives to match the needs of the customers. So the requirements of the customer is the primary focus of any organization. The organization tries to adopt the best practices so that it can match the needs and requirements of the customer. So the first principle of ISO 20000 is the customer focus. Second is the process approach. ISO 20000 prescribes a set of requirements and best practices to be adopted so that the TQM process is said to be working in the organization, or the services delivered to the customers are of requisite quality. So here the way the requirements of the customer, that means the services, are fulfilled are according to the set guidelines of ISO 20000. ISO 20000 asks for continuous improvement. We know that the technology is changing rapidly, and this technological change, the pace is getting faster and faster as days are moving on. That means the more we are moving towards ahead, the faster is the rate of change of technology. Now, in order that we as an organization improve ourselves, we have to keep pace with the technology. That means we have to move along with the technology, or we have to get ahead of the present technology. So for that, we require improvement in our way of doing the things. Now, once we meet the requirement of the customer, we cannot say that our work is over. We cannot say that things have come to an end, because at that point of time the technology may have advanced further. So again we have to go for the improvement process. So ISO 20000 asks for continuous improvement. And lastly, it says whenever there is any kind of problems, difficulties, etc., and decision making is required, it should be based on evidences. Evidences means the documented facts, all the recorded facts, what has happened leading to the occurrence of the particular disruption or problem, those will be used for decision making. We cannot go for whimsical decision making. ISO 20000 says all the decision making should be based on the evidence or documented facts. Now, when an organization is adopting ISO 20000, what are the benefits that the IT industry will be having? First is increased customer satisfaction. We know that ISO 20000 is based on the principle of customer focus. We know that total quality management, TQM, is a methodology driven by customers, meeting the customers' need or requirements. So, by adoption of ISO 20000, that means going for application of ISO 20000 principles, the organization focus is meeting the requirements of the customer needs. So, when the customer needs are fulfilled, that will satisfy the customer. In other words, the customer satisfaction increases. Secondly, if an organization is adopting ISO 20000, it increases the efficiency. Now, when we say efficiency, in other words, it is, we can say, the losses are minimized or problems are minimized. So whenever you are going for ISO 20000, the processes, the people are modified in such a way that they adopt the best practices, which will negate the things like uh, troubles, problems, etc. from the delivery line. In other words, the efficiency will increase. ISO 20000 improves risk management. Already we know ISO 20000 is based on a certain principle where decision making are based on evidences. That means from the documented facts, decisions are taken which are the best decisions under any circumstances. Now, by adopting ISO 20000, if any problem is going to occur, we can know in advance from our experience or from our documented facts, and we can negate them. In other words, we can manage the risk in a better way. The organization competitiveness improves. That means in the world stage, in the global economy, the services of the particular IT industry which has ISO 20000 certification, they will be readily adopted by or readily accepted by the various clients or the customers. So we say ISO 20000 improves competitiveness. Now, what is the need for ISO 20000? Why any software industry or IT industry requires that it should have a ISO 20000 certification? First and foremost, every organization which is going for total quality management or adopting total quality management should satisfy the needs of the customer. The basic focus of the organization is meeting the requirements of the customer so that they will be satisfied. So by adopting ISO 20000 in a software industry, the organization has to take care of the customer requirements, customer needs, which it has to fulfill. So thereby improving the customer satisfaction. Next is, once an IT organization has developed a software and it has been delivered to the client. Now, while the client is operating, there can be chances that there will be troubles, there will be problems, or the employees of the client organization may find it difficult to uh, run the IT software. So, if an organization is adopting ISO 20000, it has to look after the service quality. That means it has to provide service support to the client regarding the software that has been delivered. Risk management improves. We know that through documented facts and figures, we can analyze and find out if any troubles, any problems are going to occur in the near future. So, thereby we can take steps so that those problems, etc., can be avoided. So, adopting ISO 20000 improves the risk management. It improves cost management. When we are adopting the best practices as recommended by ISO 20000, in other words, the losses are reduced or minimized. When losses are minimized, we say that the cost is also minimized. So it improves the cost management part. An organization adopting ISO 20000 can easily sell its products or services to be more specific, in various other nations, as it has the ISO certification. In the view of clients or the customer, the organization having ISO 20000 certification are adopting certain guidelines, practices as prescribed by ISO, International Standard for Organization, and which are the best in the current scenario. So, it increases or enhances the competitiveness of the organization. It makes easy to fight the competition in the marketplace. This improves supplier management. Now, whatever are the requirements, they are to be created and delivered to the customers as per their requirements, and for that we require suppliers which will be providing us maybe the various kind of items, the computer peripherals, the softwares, etc. So, by adopting ISO 20000, we can improve the supplier management. Now, the organization which is governed by the management can have better governance, because ISO 20000 asks for implementation of best practices. Not only that, organization have to adhere to various regulations, laws as stipulated by various authorities. Now ISO 20000 also lays down the guidelines for complying with these regulations. So the organization is in a better position to comply with the regulations. So we say ISO 20000 improves compliance. What are the requirements of ISO 20000 implementation in an IT organization? First is IT service management system. Second is we have to develop a particular service strategy. In other words, why we are creating the IT service? We'll try to answer this particular question here. Why the service will be created? So there we can have answers. The requirement of the services to be developed. That means we form the strategy. According to the strategy, we try to design how the organization will move towards developing the particular IT service. Now, there will be service transition. That means whatever has been envisaged as activities, they have to be conveyed to the other employees, and finally, once when all the things are in place, that means people are ready, design is ready, we move into the operational part. That means development of the software. Now, once the software is developed, then we try to test it and we deliver it to the customer. However, this particular service requires continual improvement because due to technological advancement, you require improvement. Resources, that means resources in the form of man, machine, materials of the IT industry or the organization have to be managed properly. There should be no lacuna, there should be no stoppages in work due to unavailability of resources. Then the organization should have a very good relationship with its client. That means it should look after the client's requirement, work towards meeting the client's requirements, and then we have configuration management. That means we require all the things to be joined together, like customer needs, our employees' expertise, the regulations to be adopted, the time frame to be adhered to, the budget that we have to match with. All these things have to be configured. And finally, we measure the success of the IT service development program, and we report it to the top management. Now, in ISO 20000, we saw how a framework for development of IT services and best practices in that field is to be adopted in any IT organization. Along with that, nowadays it has become very important in the current scenario. All of us must be aware about data piracy, data siphoning, malwares, cyber attacks, etc. All these things will occur, damaging severe damages to the security level. So, IT industry are working on how informations can be secure enough in order to be not affected by all this kind of the data siphoning, data piracy, the cyber war, etc. So ISO 27000 is a set of international standards for information security management. This particular ISO 27000, it provides a framework for managing and protecting sensitive information like customer data, financial information, intellectual property, etc. We know that in any bank or financial institutions, if customer data, financial information, etc. are pirated or security is breached by a pirate software, then all the data, all the financials of the clients of the banks will be stolen out. So how to manage and protect this sensitive information? The framework is given by ISO 27000. This helps organization to protect information assets and maintain their confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The key components of ISO 27000 is ISMS, that is Information Security Management System, risk management, the access control. Not everyone should be given access to the confidential data. Network security, the information or the data library of any organization should be secured or should work in a secured network. If any untoward thing happens, any data breach occurs, how to manage that incident? And there will be no stoppage of business. That means the business will continue. If any kind of data breach is there, keeping that aside, how business can continue in the previous manner, and they should comply with the legal requirements. The need for ISO 27000 is to protect all kind of informations and to meet regulatory requirements. And most important is to help any customers to maintain their information from piracy. When we are talking of requirements, we talk about the management's commitment towards it, policy of the organization, periodical reviews, documentation process, communication, and if any untoward incident is there, how to manage the situation and continue the business without any stoppages. Now, these two are particularly for ISO, the software industries or IT organization, ISO 20000 and ISO 27000. Thank you.